Welcome to another Workshop Wednesday with a very special guest, Stefan from Aptos Academy. He's been part of the community for a while now. We were just chatting earlier. I think it's been 6 months, and he created a proposal for this project called Aptos Academy a while ago now, and it's been developed into various guides or structures and processes for contributors. And I really appreciate how he coordinates this project in a very open, flexible way to engage all kinds of participants in the community and really collaborate with anyone who's adding value to the knowledge base we're building together. So I'm excited to build on the workshop format that he introduced in a specific forum post and invite him to lead this workshop today. And we'll dive into the vision for the Aptos Academy of the future and what that could mean for the Aptos ecosystem overall. So without further ado, I'll introduce Stefan, who is from the Graph Academy and the Internet Computer Academy, and has been involved with the Web3 space for quite some time and has selflessly contributed to Aptos for the better part of a year now, and I'm really looking forward to seeing where this project goes next. Thanks for being here.
Well, James, thank you very much for giving us the opportunity.
Can you hear me? Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay. So yeah. I just wanted to say, James, thank you very much for giving us the opportunity today to have this workshop focused on the Aptos Academy and co-creating with the community the future, basically, of this educational platform and initiative. So it's highly appreciated that you have provided us the spot that we can take during the workshop to basically get co-creating with the entire community on this really, really exciting community platform. So what I'm going to do now is I'm sharing the presentation that I have prepared for all of you and for the workshop, and I hope you can see my screen right now. So if it doesn't work, just let me know. Otherwise, we get going. And I've prepared for everybody of you an agenda so that we clearly know what the entire workshop is going to be about, what we are going to focus on. So first of all, we're going to give you a short introduction, what this workshop today is all about. And we also have prepared for you a really small keynote presentation so that you get some kind of educational, but also entertaining value of this entire workshop. And once that is done, we are diving into a couple of guiding questions we have prepared for you, where we will switch over to a Miro board and get going with the brainstorming session of this workshop. And after that, we have a couple of minutes time for questions, and we will dive into the next steps for the Academy and also for this workshop and to see what the results of this workshop have been. All right. So just for time management purposes, that we are mindful of your time, here is the timeline, the time management, how much time we are going to spend on each chapter of the workshop. So the largest part of the time is allocated to the brainstorming session, which we will focus a lot of time on so that we can co-create basically the future and shape the future of the Aptos Academy. Now, for an introduction, what are we going to focus on today's workshop so that we can be as focused and as targeted with the workshop as it can be? So what we would like to do in today's workshop is to co-create the future of the Aptos Academy. And the title of the workshop is Imagining the Future of the Aptos Academy. So what we want to do is to involve the community, to actively involve the community in this entire project, and to basically give you a chance of actively helping us to establish this initiative in the Aptos ecosystem. And as already mentioned, we have prepared a short keynote presentation for you, which is focusing on the different user personas that we are encountering in the Aptos ecosystem that we would like to target with the Aptos Academy. So these user the personas profiles describe possible target audiences and their specific characteristics and the content that we would like to prepare for these audiences. So the first persona are newcomers, and I think that's one large target audience and also the key target audience, especially in the beginning of the Aptos Academy. So these are new people, new to the ecosystem, and we want to use the Aptos Academy to get them onboarded into the ecosystem. And we want to use the Aptos Academy to make this onboarding process really professional, really useful, and as efficient as possible, so that someone new to Aptos can have one place where they can basically learn everything about Aptos in an easy and very comprehensible way for a newcomer, and to get started, basically start their journey within the Aptos ecosystem. Then we have another persona, which are students. So these are members who are interested in Aptos and have an interest in the Move programming language, and they are getting onboarded into the ecosystem, but have also gained a certain amount of expertise within these areas of Aptos and also the Move programming language. So these students, they are helping others to better understand the ecosystem, better understand Aptos, and better understand the Move programming language. Then we have a key demographic, which are movers. So movers are part of the Aptos developer community, i.e. they are specialists in their targeted areas. They are specialists, especially with the Move programming language, and they really actively help developers in getting started with building on Aptos, on the Aptos blockchain, but also building on Move. So what they basically help is developers, or they help developers to make the most use of the Move programming language and to build the best possible applications on the Aptos blockchain. So these are key participants, I would say, of the Aptos ecosystem, and also a key demographic of contributors to the Aptos Academy. Then we have educators. They are actively shaping learning experiences. They create tutorials, they create guides, they create courses, and I think they are really, really important and are going to play a key they have a key role in the future of the Academy, as they are actively contributing to creating content for the Academy. We also, just a target audience that I want to mention is node operators, but in the initial stages, we are not going to focus too much on node operators, because Aptos has their own documentation for node operators with their own guides and tutorials. So just want to mention this target audience as well. All right, so now we can jump into the guiding questions. And I would also like to open this entire workshop now for everybody of you. So if you have any questions, feel free to raise your hand, and James or I will get you onboarded or allow you to speak, or feel free to share your comments in the comment section of this of the Zoom meeting, and basically to give you the opportunity to basically contribute to this workshop. And the guiding questions for today's workshop that we thought about, we have 5 questions, and these are the questions that we would like to center the focus of the workshop today. So the first question would be, if there were no restrictions or limitations in any way, be it from a budget perspective, but also from a technical perspective, how would the perfect Aptos Academy look like if you were able to build it with just the click of a finger, without any other restrictions or any other considerations? The second question we would like to ask is what the critical features for the Aptos Academy would be, and what we should offer to our users. I think an important question to think about. Also, another important question, what role the Aptos Academy should play in the ecosystem. So we've also already mentioned that we could use the Aptos Academy to onboard new users into the ecosystem. And this question, we should think about how we can most efficiently use the Aptos Academy to provide and to generate value in the ecosystem. So for the fourth question, would be is to ask ourselves how we can engage builders in the ecosystem. So, for example, movers who are experienced in the Move programming language, and how we can get basically developers to start building on Aptos, on the Aptos blockchain, and in the Move programming language. And guiding question number 5, the final question: how should we prioritize the aforementioned user personas? Who do you think are the most important user personas, and why? All right, so we have already arrived at the brainstorming session of the workshop, and now I would like to invite you over to the Miro board. So I'm going to pause the presentation for just a second and invite you over to the Miro board with the link that I'm going to share in the comment section right now. So feel free to jump over to the Miro board, where we have prepared the brainstorming part of the entire workshop. So giving everybody just a couple of seconds to jump over. I'm seeing Catchfire is already there, so thanks for joining us over there. And once everybody has arrived, we can start focusing on the guiding questions. So for the time, we have scheduled about 25 minutes, and the number of people invited is unlimited, so everybody feel free to join us over there. And yeah, the focus of this brainstorming session will be to shape the future of the Aptos Academy. And what I want to mention for this brainstorming session is, as usual with brainstorming, every idea is welcome. Feel free to just shout it out and to bring about your idea, whatever idea you have. Every idea is welcome. So we do not want to criticize any ideas. We basically want to just brainstorm ideas, no matter how funny or irrelevant or whatever these ideas are. There's no judgment. And I think this really helps us to generate really, really great ideas if you don't have to think about the relevance of an idea. So just that I express myself clearly, feel free to basically suggest anything. And no matter if you think it's a valuable idea or not valuable idea, just express it and we mark it down, write it down. And because this helps others to build upon your idea. So you're actively encouraged by us to build upon the ideas of others and to get the entire creative flow going. And also the third and last point I want to mention about this workshop is that we all really need to stay focused on the topic, but I think all of that should be really, really fine and really well. Everybody is focused as usual. So let's just try to keep the discussion on the target of the guiding question. And it's okay to diverge a bit, but we should always keep the eye on the prize, which is answering the guiding question. Sorry, excuse me. So I hope everybody has joined us on Miro. If you haven't, feel free to join us. The link is in the chat. So if anybody is searching for the link, it's in the chat. And I think we can get started with the first guiding question. And the first guiding question was, how would the perfect Aptos Academy look like if there were absolutely no restrictions at all? So I think this could be really interesting to brainstorm here. And feel free to unmute yourself or to raise your hand or to get into the discussion. So I'm seeing right now a comment by Yovar that he is unable to see the link. So because I think contributors are not able to see the chat in this meeting. So I don't know where else to post the link right now.
I'll fix that. Thank you, Hovar. Here we go. There's another link.
Perfect. Thank you so much, James. Okay, everybody should now see the link in the chat. I don't know why it didn't work for me, but yeah, just let us know if it doesn't work or if it's working. And yeah, feel free to join us over on Miro. Okay, so now I'm seeing Yovar is now over there. So it looks like it's working now. Thank you, James, for jumping in.
Of course, yeah. Sorry about that.
No worries. And just to orient yourself, we are right now at the first guiding question. So if you want to jump over, I think many of you are already here. And let's get started with the first guiding question. So feel free, I've added a couple of notes. Feel free to type in or feel free to unmute yourself here in the Zoom and to raise your hand if you want to speak, or to simply add text to the document, to the file, and to answer basically the question, how would the perfect Aptos Academy look like if we had no budget restriction? So if anybody wants to add a note, feel free to do so. And we can then highlight what others are adding or which comments are added to the entire document. Okay, so I see the first comment, which is educate newcomers. It's yeah, a good point, and I think definitely something we want to use the academy for. So to educate newcomers, it's a fantastic onboarding tool, right? Also, I think Catchfire has added this comment, which is to grow the ecosystem. Definitely a good use case. And we want to shape learning experiences. Absolutely, definitely. Facilitate onboarding. Good point. And let us focus with this guiding question a bit more on being really thinking how we would build the entire academy if there were no restrictions on budget, on technical issues. So basically, if you want to create a car, how would you build that dream car if there is no budget restriction? For example, my dream car would be flying. So how would your dream academy look like? And what features would such a dream academy have for you? Okay, I'm seeing all the great ideas flowing in. Just let me know if you want me to create more notes for all of you, so not to disrupt the entire brainstorming session. All right, I'm seeing a comment, different levels for people with different backgrounds. Nobody should be bored. That's a good point, and I think that's really important to offer different levels of complexity to the entire academy. So for example, we want to target really newcomers, really beginners who may not even be experienced with Web3. At the same time, we also want to help people who are already experienced in accelerating their learning curve and to really take a deep dive into Aptos. So that's a really great point, and I think really useful. So thank you for adding this suggestion. Also, I'm seeing the comment of university programs, which is I definitely agree with that. I think that would be really wonderful if we were able to provide university programs. Just think about courses, letting students enroll into a specific course, let's say a Move introduction course, and have a certificate at the end of the course. So I think we can really play a key role here with basically creating an industry standard, for example, for the Move language with these type of certifications. I think that's definitely a valid and good point. So thank you very much. Okay, we have a really big note: gamify the learning with rewards. Have different levels of learning with goals at the end of each, I would say, level. Okay, so good point. And definitely, if we had no budget restrictions, gamifying the learning with rewards is wonderful. For example, we could provide NFTs for participants who have successfully learned something at the end. So that would be really cool if we had this feature. So thank you very much for this really creative suggestion. I'm also seeing available in regional languages as well. So definitely, yeah, we should have a multi-linguistic website where so many people from all over the world can join and can read in their native language. And it would be, I don't want to be negative, but it will be a great challenge to offer this multi-language support, because we always have to keep everything updated. But with the right manpower and with the right people who are helping us here in this project, I think that's really, really great if we have, if you can provide the academy in different languages. All right, so I'm screening a bit for new comments. Transfer people from Web 2 to Web 3. Yes, absolutely. So that's definitely one target area we should focus on to help people in the process of migrating from Web 2 to Web 3 and to basically help them get started with Aptos, with the Aptos blockchain, and to introduce them basically to the great vision of Aptos and how we see the future of this entire ecosystem. All right, so Matthias is adding a cool comment about AI tools. Let me just read that comment. There are quite good AI tools for rudimentary translations. Maybe we could integrate those. So in the initial stages, I think yes, that will be even for just to provide the basic functionality of having the website translated. Yes, so it's a good point, and we can definitely look into that, providing these tools. So thank you everybody for this great brainstorming session. I'm so happy that everybody is contributing, and also at the quality of the contribution. So I could not have asked for more. So thank you so much for all these great suggestions. And I see that Catchfire has added a bit to his comment. So let me just check what is new. As users are moving to higher levels, showcase them to developer teams and platforms that can use their learnings and talent. The user will also have something to reach for as they get dev opportunity. Wow, yes, that's a wonderful idea. I haven't even thought about that so far. So yeah, that's really cool. Basically allowing others to showcase their experience in the Aptos ecosystem and to basically get recommendations and to, for example, find a team that is building on Aptos or with the Move programming language, and to basically use the academy, their experiences with the academy and their accomplishments with the academy as a platform to basically advertise for themselves and to get started with the entire journey in the ecosystem. So wonderful. I hope I haven't overseen anything. I'm seeing the suggestion of airdrops, learning tokens. So yeah, wonderful suggestion. I think this also ties perfectly into the category of basically incentivizing contributors. So we could also think about airdrops. I love that. I love that idea. And we would have to think about what we are going to provide if we, for example, can use a potential token in the future, if there will be a token which is has not yet been defined, or if we have our own Aptos Academy token. But definitely love the idea of doing airdrops just to incentivize contributors and to basically show them appreciation towards their hard work. So I really love the result of the first guiding question. If you want, we can jump to the next guiding question. So I'm totally open to your feedback. If you want to stay on that a little bit longer, we can also do that. That's no issue. I'm seeing that Matthias is writing a new comment. Okay, we should have a virtual reality world, metaverse for Aptos. Yeah, love it. For example, you take on your goggles, virtual reality goggles, and you're in this, I don't know, futuristic classroom, and you can see everything, and you're getting educated about Aptos in visual videos, for example. That will be so super cool. I mean, if we could realize that would be, I think that would be really setting standards in the entire industry. So I think, yeah, I just love the brainstorming session. It's really cool. So thank you everybody for these really, really cool suggestions. All right, so I would suggest that we move on now to guiding question number 2, which is situated below guiding question number 1. So feel free to jump to the next question. So I'm seeing still a bit of activity, but let's focus on guiding question number 2 for now. So I think we've briefly addressed this question already, because many of you have already mentioned critical features of the Academy. But the second guiding question would be what critical features we should offer our users with the Academy. So I think it was mentioned translations, it was mentioned virtual reality, it was mentioned airdrops, NFTs, courses, universities. So feel free to provide or to suggest any critical features that have not already been mentioned that we should offer to the Academy. And feel free to also suggest to skip this question because it was already addressed with number 1. So I'm totally open to your suggestions. Feel free to just shout it out, whatever you like. I'm seeing one person, yes, perfect, is suggesting video tutorials. Yes, that was not mentioned already, so it's a new suggestion. Thank you for the suggestion. I think that's really great because many people simply are visual learners. They need to see things to learn something. So reading something may not be the best experience for these people. And we could offer video tutorials. And I think it's a great, really, really cool way of learning. If we, for example, have animated videos who are really engaging and entertaining. So I would definitely love to offer videos, for example, with hands-on workshops. So it's a really, really cool suggestion. I'm also seeing Dev suggesting a completely new website or dedicated website on the Aptos website. Okay, so I'm not 100% sure, but I think you mean that we should have the Aptos Academy as a subdomain, for example, of the entire Aptos website. And I think that's a great suggestion. I think that's a good idea and a valid idea. But at the same time, we also have to be mindful that we make sure that this is a community-driven initiative. So we may want to differentiate ourselves a bit from Aptos and also want to highlight to everybody who's visiting or contributing to the Academy that this is a community-driven initiative. Also to make sure that Aptos is a distinct entity of its own. So perhaps if we build it as part of the Aptos website, this kind of differentiation cannot be made. So we definitely have to think about where we host the Academy in the future, but it's a good suggestion and a valid suggestion. Absolutely.
I'll just comment briefly to address that. Great suggestion. I would say it's a matter of timing, and the open source community platform that we're building at Aptos Labs will feature projects, including educational projects like Aptos Academy. So that's kind of the short to midterm solution. And in the future, we can definitely integrate content produced by contributors outside of Aptos Labs, but it's a very important consideration. It's a part of a future, section of the workshop. We're going to have the guiding question about the role of Aptos Academy and how it fits into the overall ecosystem. And with regard to this question about features, it is, great to think about a complementary service or, a new domain or, a separate platform with resources for beginners. I think that's the clear direction for now, and it's complementary to the documentation and the website, which is really for the general audience. And people who want to learn more could end up at this new domain. I think that's the current vision that I see, but part of the goal of this workshop is to explore it further, and it's a great suggestion, like Stefan mentioned.
Yes, thank you, James, for providing more insights into this question. Definitely a valid question, absolutely. Also, I'm seeing the suggestion to create content for beginners and general audience. So to onboard everybody from Web 2 to Aptos. So basically the L1 for everyone. This was a comment by Matthias. Yeah, great contributions. Matthias, thank you so much. Yes, definitely. So one part of the Aptos Academy could also revolve around basically having really, really easily comprehensible tutorials and guides that help to transition people to Web3 and introduce them to Aptos and its vision. I think that could be quite powerful and a quite powerful use case. Okay, I'm seeing another comment: division by areas of studies. For example, developers, analysts, marketers. Yes, that's a really cool point as well. An idea that I haven't thought about. So valid suggestion. For example, developers, definitely a key target demographic we should engage in. And later on, I think we could also think about creating specific guides for people who are basically users of Aptos, who are in some way, shape, or form using Aptos or are part of the ecosystem. Okay, I'm seeing another note for borrowing best practices from other projects. I think Dev has made this. I'm not 100% sure, but definitely. I think, for example, we could host or set up an entire task force that is doing market research and is analyzing other projects and to see or investigate what kind of onboarding flows they have and what kind of educational materials they provide their users, and to basically take everything that works that we think is useful and implementing these as best practices in the Aptos Academy as well. Love it. All right, I'm seeing another comment: easier getting started content and search engine perhaps to access the right information. So definitely one focus area we need to focus on is to have everything listed in Google and to have it accessible. For example, to make sure that we are targeting keywords to basically help users find us on Google and to use the Academy. Good point. Yes, I'm seeing the comment: you need to find a good team with which you will realize all these goals. Definitely, and everybody who's welcome or who is interested in participating is more than welcome to participate. And we are basically always keeping our eyes open to find good team members. So definitely agree with you. It's going to be a challenge, but I think with the right team, we can move mountains, so to speak. Expand contributions to content and simplified content guidelines. Yes, absolutely. Especially simplified content. We want to target really advanced users in the ecosystem, help them to really learn more about Aptos and to take a deep dive into Aptos. But we also want to target people who may not be familiar with crypto at all, and to help them in a really easy manner to understand what Aptos does, and to just provide them a simplified way of explaining what Aptos does, and to help them comprehend the entire project, and to basically reduce for these people the complexity of the entire project so that everybody can understand it and everybody can access it and use it. All right. I'm also seeing the note with off-chain badges. Yes, good point. Definitely an idea if we are unable to use on-chain rewards, or if we want to provide off-chain badges, we can do that. I think that ties into gamification of the community and could be worthwhile. Yes. Also, a great note I'm seeing: collaborate with Web2 world and projects. Yes, I love it. With the target, for example, of getting them to see the benefits of Web3 and to finally make the transition. I think there will come a time in the future where we will see many Web2 projects transitioning to Web3, and we could play a key role in that as well, for example, by collaborating with these projects. All right, so I hope I've addressed everything, every note, and I'm seeing people already have skipped a bit to guiding question number 3 and are adding notes. So yeah, great thank you very much for your engagement. It's really cool to see how excited you are. So it's really, really cool of you. It's thank you very much for all your activity in this workshop. It makes it really easy for me to conduct the workshop. So big kudos to all of you. Thank you so much. So let's focus on guiding question number 3, which is, what role should the Aptos Academy play in the ecosystem, and how can we use the Academy in the most efficient way possible? Okay, so I'm skipping, or I'm jumping right into the first note that I see. The Aptos Academy, I'm quoting, must be the go-to place for all types of users to learn about Move and Aptos. It must be trustworthy even for experts to use as reference. Yes, yes. A valid note, a valid suggestion. And I think there certainly is the official documentation from Aptos. So I think every expert will predominantly use that as reference. But what we would like to distinguish ourselves with is to create such kind of high quality tutorials, guides, articles about Aptos and Move, is that people are starting to reference us because nobody else is providing such level of precision. So that would be really cool if we achieve that, basically that status in the ecosystem. I'm seeing Bit&8 is adding the comment, exploring all partnerships in most evolving ecosystems. There tends to be many similar endeavors, greater deep partnerships. Yes, I think it makes sense. And I think partnerships help us to grow the entire ecosystem. And yeah, partnerships are really, really helpful. And what I would love to see is the Academy partnering in many different areas and people taking the lead on a specific partnership, for example, and getting something done in this area with a third party or another partner, and perhaps even bringing them on board to become a part of this entire educational initiative. So yes, I love it. Great suggestion. Provide structure. Yes, that's a good point. People should not get lost in the vast amount of information. Yes, absolutely. So we've addressed all these potential use cases we have so far, but what we also need to be mindful of is to have the user journey to have a really, really good and easily comprehensible user journey. So for example, someone who is new to Aptos is taken into a funnel and led through an entire user journey of getting to know Aptos. While at the same time, we want someone who is a developer getting into another funnel, which really helps them to learn about Aptos blockchain, learn about the Move programming language, and to really self-educate themselves and to gain a lot of knowledge in these areas. So definitely, I agree with you. We need structure. We need to be really mindful about this topic and to avoid people getting lost in overwhelming amounts of information. And we may also have to make the differentiation that we don't even want all people on all websites of the Academy. So we want them to pick their specific learning funnel, I would call that, and to go into that funnel and to basically advance within that funnel. And from there, we can see where we take them. So yes, a wonderful suggestion. Okay, another comment. Aptos Academy should explain the ecosystem to community in a simplified way. Hence, the Academy paves the road to the Aptos ecosystem as entry, beginner, novice level for dev-related content. Structure matters in large content. Yes. So I also love it how everybody is building on the comments of others and adding to these comments. So that's great to see, and definitely a valid note as well. Another note, help members of the community learn to help others learn. Fantastic. Yes, I definitely agree with you. And that's where everybody can come in as a contributor to the Aptos Academy and contribute and share their knowledge about Aptos with the community. which also ties into the next node, grow a community of educators. Definitely valid point. And the next node, which I think also builds upon the previous nodes, is to build the capacity for knowledge sharing. Definitely, it's a good point, good idea. We should also set clear objectives and key results and specific metrics. Yes, definitely. I think we need to hold ourselves accountable. For example, if we present our work to Aptos, we should have everything measurable. We should show them our objectives and also how we can measure these objectives if we have succeeded in a given area or not. And for example, for contributors, we can also define objectives and also KPIs that we can measure their success in the ecosystem. All right, I'm seeing another node with arranging competitions in different areas and to issue grants. Yes, if that is, I think, more for the future, but we may, that will be a really cool idea, is if we are able to hand out our own grants with the Academy. For example, a user is proposing to write an article, and we can say, okay, we appreciate your work and your contribution, and we would like to incentivize you with $100 or $200 for this article. That would be really cool, and I love the idea. Another good point is to have more test interaction with the Aptos team. Periodically invite members from the Aptos Labs team to explain technical points. Yes, so I think this could be one specific perk of being a contributor to the Aptos Academy, is to have more contact with the team and to get basically really key information that you need to create educational materials from the team, which also should include or strengthen your access to the team. And I see Catchfire is adding the comment of great idea, so I can agree. I do agree with that. It's a really cool idea, and I think everybody in the ecosystem would love to get in touch with the team, have more contact with the team, and to basically learn from the best when it comes to Aptos and the Move programming language. And we could also, I think, use that as an incentive for contributors, as I already mentioned. Okay, I see another note. Check out the model for Loop Learn. It's a very engaging funnel, just like you are talking about Learn to Earn model. Yes, thank you for the suggestion, whoever made that. I will definitely take a look at Loop Learn. Haven't heard of it so far, but we'll take a look. All right. I think one node is left, which is search and involve Move developers. Yes, so that would be the cream de la cream if we are able to incentivize Move developers to provide their own learning experiences. For example, having an entire workshop with a Move developer or an entire course with a Move developer. That would be really cool, and I think really useful for the ecosystem. So to be mindful of the time, I would suggest we jump to the next question, which is question number 4. How do we engage builders in the ecosystem? So how do we provide the right incentives, or how do we get builders going in the ecosystem? What can we do to incentivize builders and to get them motivated to share their knowledge with the ecosystem? And I see the very first node is to offer grants, definitely. So with that area, we are totally dependent on Aptos. So if Aptos is offering these grants, we can definitely find a good way of incentivizing builders. But let's think outside of financial rewards and grants, what else can we offer builders in the ecosystem? So one idea that I had and I discussed with James would be, for example, to allow builders in the ecosystem to create case studies and to basically raise their profile and to have these case studies showcased by Aptos and to basically get views and eyes on their project, but also to create a profile for themselves. So I'm seeing the node ease of building and low entry threshold. Yes, definitely. So I think this could also tie into basically allowing builders to connect to the Aptos team, learning from their experience, but also to have, how should I call it, to network amongst themselves and to share best practices, for example. So if we, for example, have an engaged builder community, we can advertise that we can basically help them to access a network of builders who are like-minded, who are having the same interests and are possibly even focusing on finding solutions to the same problems or challenges. Future perks, I'm seeing Catchfire as writing to provide future perks as builders, definitely, and career, that's a good point. For example, Aptos could use the builder community, those who contribute, as a sourcing ground of identifying talent in the community. So I love the suggestion, Catchfire. That's a definitely really useful suggestion. And I'm seeing a really big comment by Bit8. Great documentation is the beginning of getting users engaged, adding your idea of developer profiles to users who update documentation and dev tooling. Absolutely, I agree with you here. Getting users engaged, adding ideas to developer profiles. So once we have profiles, we can also think about, for example, badges, a bit gamifying everybody. And yeah, I think that's one key to a great documentation, is to getting everybody engaged and to incentivize them or encourage them to basically take a couple of minutes or hours from their day and to provide educational materials. Okay, another note is we'll hold live meetings with developers, builders in different countries with help from coordinators. Yes, definitely, that's a good point. Also, as an incentive for builders to have these really cool meetings with developers and builders in the ecosystem, to basically brainstorm ideas and to exchange ideas and to basically get access to this network. Another note is case studies and awareness. And I think James has added the suggestion of gathering feedback on Move Mondays, which I love. For example, we could make suggestions or basically highlight ideas or highlight the entire Aptos Academy during Move Mondays, when everybody, when builders are joining these sessions with the team, to basically showcase what the Aptos Academy has to offer to builders who contribute and to show them the perks of contributing. So definitely a valid comment.
I want to jump in as we are, coming to the end of this hour, and taking a step back, looking at results from the previous question. My open question still, which I don't think we have to answer now, but I want to highlight as context for guiding question number 4. It's 2 different pathways forward, and it doesn't mean we have to choose one way or the other, but it's just a way to prioritize. One pathway is the beginner's content pathway, as I'm describing it. That would involve gamification. That's hey, if you're looking for more content outside of the Aptos Labs domain, then you can go to Aptos Academy and dive in, really get a lot more, in-depth experience with rewards potentially. That's one pathway. The other pathway is engaging contributors, generally speaking. For example, builders would be the technical contributors who create tutorials, or they develop case studies. They might lead workshops, and there's a variety of pathways for them, contributors generally, to participate and bring value to the Aptos Academy project and the overall ecosystem. So those are the 2 directions. for this question about engaging builders, I think we have to stay grounded, going back to the goals. And in the original proposal, it says we're shaping the learning experiences, but I think more specifically, it's about, empowering the community to share knowledge and, growing that community of educators and, onboarding people who help others learn. So the direction before, all about the beginner content is where I would recommend going first, while working on these campaigns like you have been already to engage builders, for example. So this question is about how do we engage builders to support that beginner content. So that's what I wanted to say basically is, we're not trying to engage builders to create really in-depth tutorials. We want to be specific about our focus. We're trying to get builders to help check our work, basically. Let's find the people who understand the concepts and make sure it's not misleading anyone who is just learning. And beginners need the clarity, but also they need the accuracy. So we got to make sure to engage builders that way. So apologies for interrupting the flow, but I wanted to make sure we get on the same page there, because I am really excited about both directions. I don't want to try to answer the question now, but that's my current perspective.
Yeah, James, thank you so much for jumping in and providing these insights. Definitely agree with you here. It's important to consider, and I think to be mindful of the time. We have 3 minutes left. We can leave out question number 5. I think, as we already discussed a bit about the user persona, so I think it's fine to make a stop here and to be mindful of everybody's time. And I really want to thank everybody for the great brainstorming session. So I really appreciated that. And I would also like to use the last minutes to open up the forum for questions and suggestions if anybody has one. So feel free to raise your hands and to basically use these last minutes for your questions, if you have any.
So with some silence, I'll jump in again to first of all say thank you so much for this great workshop and all the amazing contributions you've made to the Aptos community and ecosystem. I'm super excited about where this will go next. And from a practical standpoint, we're looking forward to seeing this evolve into a really iterative, collaborative project. So, my question to you is, what do you think is the next step, and how can we help?
Definitely, I think we can use all the help of the community in every step along the way. So the next step definitely would be to build the foundation of this entire platform, which we can ultimately build or shape the future of the academy. So I think that really the next step would be to get started building and to build the infrastructure, to build the platform. So yeah, I think that would be the next step.
Cool. That sounds great. And I would imagine you will share a kind of summary from today's workshop, inviting people to get involved. Maybe, another forum post would help, but of course we have the great proposal and open discussion with various guides for contributors. And the content would be, the actionable item. I guess we really want to figure out what should go on that page, what would be most useful to the community of educators who are discovering Aptos Academy.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. I just wanted in the last seconds to thank everybody for joining, for your great contribution. It was really nice working with all of you, brainstorming with all of you. You've made it really easy for me with all your great suggestions and comments and ideas. So thank you all for taking the time. It's really appreciated. And yeah, thank you so much for joining, for taking the time. And I'm really looking forward to build everything with you.